All right, click the links to join the channel here over at Subscribestar. So MSNBC editor Zeeshan Aleem attacks Top Gun Maverick, saying, "I hope it tanks at the Oscars." Soyboy says what? First of all, who cares about the Oscars? Fewer and fewer people, as it turned out, care about the Oscars every year, and now it's not on TV anymore, and I don't even know how to work a TV anymore. Do you have... Someone is saying that you can get like an indoor antenna for a TV and it still works to catch some channels. I don't know how that works with a digital signal, but apparently you can get the mainstream channels with an antenna and you don't have to subscribe. I mean, but like, what's the point of watching TV at all anymore? I mean, if you have the internet, like the TV to watch old, like mainstream dinosaur TV, no, there's no need. I mean, it's just all Odyssey and Bit Chute and YouTube and Rumble type of stuff. So nobody cares about the Oscars anymore. And soon people are going to be wondering why they ever cared about Hollywood at all. The Hollywood of 1986, to its credit, was an entirely different environment than the 2023 mask off, full Saul Alinsky, Frankfurt School, Marxist version of Hollywood. 86 Hollywood, they knew what they were. I mean, that was the 80s was the era of like the Goonies and E.T. and I don't know. There were so many movies like. So many movies during the 80s, none of them are coming to mind. But you know, that kind of schlocky type of movies, like they didn't take themselves seriously. They knew that what they were just there to sell entertaining movies. They were not going to stand the test of time. They were just action adventure horror movies. Not a whole lot of deeper meanings to them. They were just to get you in the theater. I mean, you had the whole, Star Wars, some Star Trek movies were coming out in the 80s. Including some Superman sequels and the Indiana Jones sequels. I mean, if you want to look at one period of time, from like 75 to 1990, there was a whole string of these movies that they knew what they were. They were just to sell you entertainment, and they did that very well. And then after that, even Tom Cruise had a whole string of stuff in the 80s. Risky Business I think that was his first huge one. Anyway, so MSNBC, in case you're unfamiliar with it, is pure subversive globalist propaganda where the only viewers are cat ladies and people who cringe watch it. Like I will when there's something big going on, because I used to love to watch the meltdown over Trump, but it was only for entertainment, and that was, 2016 to 2020, so I think its viewers and CNN's viewers in general just fell off a cliff after 2020. So the opposite of their narrative was usually going to be the more realistic one. Watching Rachel Maddow lose her mind over Trump and his taxes was actually entertaining. And I remember that one scene where she was waving around the piece of paper, and I'm thinking, like, if you're her director, her producer, whatever you call those people who are behind the scenes, and you're watching this and you're kind of looking at each other like, this is kind of like, this shouldn't have been a 45-minute episode. That, like, the taxes thing, like, it was one piece of paper that was just a cliche nothing burger. You should have skipped it. Like, you don't have to do every story on Trump because you think it'll hurt him. It's like, that just makes you look like you have Trump derangement syndrome. And then they're doing a whole, I don't know how long her segment is, 30 minutes, 45 minutes or something, the whole segment on Trump and his taxes. And you got to be looking at each other and going, this is getting weird. Like, even the audience is wondering why they're allowing this to go on. Probably because Rachel Maddow is so powerful that to have a producer tell her that they don't want her to do a story, it's like you're going to see her lose her mind anymore. I remember that episode because she found nothing relevant, and she was clinging to one piece of paper and waving it around like a crazy woman. It was like that was what she looked like, because that was what she was. And the piece of paper was like the standard business. Some years you make a profit, some years you take a loss, and it's a write down or whatever. It's like, okay, that's just, did he conspire with space aliens to take over the Earth? That was the kind of thing they were expecting. It's like, nah, some businesses did well and some businesses tanked, and that's just life. Okay, then why'd you make a half-hour segment out of it? Because they're mentally ill. So these are the same people who keep thinking that someone is going to arrest Trump and his whole family for something vaguely to do with Russia or maybe China. But him and his whole family are definitely going to prison in 2016, except that they're still saying that in its 2023. It was, they had this meme about some special prosecutor from 2016 to 2020 was coming for Trump, and it's like, nothing happened. They investigated. It's like, he's been the most investigated politician in history. If there was something there, they would have found it by 2017 at the latest. And now it's, I think, Merrick Garland. He's going to go for him. And even people on the left are looking around and going like, this is probably probably time to just move on from this. Like, no, we're gonna get him this time. Like, you've been saying that for 7 years. It doesn't seem likely. It just seems like a poor use of resources. But if you're in the mainstream media, you got to have something to sell because nobody wants to cover Biden because he's an 80-year-old dementia patient with a blowjob VP. So he's probably going to be president. Trump's probably going to get elected in 2024 to 2028, not because he's such a great candidate or anything, but just because the current Biden Kamala team up is probably going to lead us into civil war and perhaps World War III and a coming economic collapse. So get your backyard garden going. I am potato nationalism, Irish pride. So the whole thing is going to start up all over again from 24 to 28 when Trump probably takes office. It's so painfully stupid. It actually makes me sick to my stomach a little bit to see left-wing people get so involved, emotionally invested in the hatred they have for Trump. And it used to be in 2016, right-wing people were getting involved supporting Trump, but like the support for him is gone. It's just, oh, he's the best option right now, but it's not the same kind of support for this kind of guy. He's not. Realize like he's just the same globalist that he's always been fighting against, just a little bit right of the spectrum, or the others are a little bit left of the spectrum. So these people are just, the media people are just living with whatever hatred the media tells them to focus on is where they focus on. And you see these people on Twitter, and maybe from 24 to 28 they'll dial it down a little bit. I mean, it's got to burn out at some point. I mean, it's going to be 12 years of this stuff. I mean, that's a long period of time to go. I mean, really, it was kind of like it started in 2008 with Obama. So it's a pretty reasonable chunk of time where people are going through this kind of national mental illness. The thing is, all these people, these Twitter people, should be gardening and jogging. Just doing anything is better than another 4 years of being a Twitter Trump reply guy. That was weird from the 2016 years of Trump. It's like if he gets back in office, they're going to do it all over again, and they're going to build up entire Twitter social media footprints. It's very lucrative for them, and they get paid by these like Soros, BlackRock, Larry Fink type of groups to indirectly those guys are funding like Democrats for Open Borders, who will then fund these Twitter reply guys, the Wachinski brothers or something, or on Twitter. And then there's the Boston dad who's funded by some Democratic party that's funded by Soros or some bizarre thing like that. And the people they think these left-wing Twitter reply guys were organic, and then somebody does a little background, and he goes, no, they're paid by some DNC group that's paid by a Soros group. And they're like, oh, we thought this guy was organic. Like, no. You think he's just doing this for dopamine? He's doing this because he's getting a $200,000 consulting fee to be a Twitter Trump reply guy. And I remember the funny thing about that guy is he came out and said, so this crime in America, is somebody going to do something are the Republicans in Congress going to do something about crime in America? Like, wait a minute, you didn't want Biden to do anything about it because you didn't want to be able to put the blame at the feet of like Biden or the Democrats in Congress, but now suddenly, because there's some Republicans in there, you want them to do something about it. So whatever they do, you'll call too heavy-handed and it'll be attack on POCs or something, and so you can blame them. It's like, at this point I say, just leave it alone. Just let it accelerate. Let the cities completely break down, and eventually militias will start. I mean, when you're this far gone, it's like, I know it sounds edgy 12-year-old to say accelerate it. It's not that. It's like, oh, it's really literally gone beyond the point of redemption. You have something that the engine is going to fail anyway. You might as well floorboard it and collect the insurance, because it's impossible to repair. It's like just let it crash. And the left wing is hoping they're going to rebuild it out of socialism. The right wing is hoping they rebuild it out of probably like a form of tribalism, but it's not going to continue the way it is. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a Brazilification of America. So after Trump left, CNN and MSNBC seemed to bleed its viewers, and I guess they went to Fox or alt media. Hollywood has had a lot of movies that have lost money lately. I mean, Disney especially. Though Disney is doing fine. I mean, they're recovering, but they've had a lot of hits. Like over $50 million. They had the Panda movie lost $170 million, and the Strange World or Stranger Things movie lost $147 million. And there's no shortage of other movies that have lost serious amounts of money, but you look at them, it's like Disney's recovering just fine, so they've got money coming in from somewhere. Anyway, but the studios ordinarily during ordinary times you have hits and you have losses, but lately in general Hollywood does not have the hits that they used to. I guess Disney's got its theme park, which must be doing really really well, but other movie companies don't have theme parks. So I think they're experiencing where the profits are starting to get squeezed, because you have something like Ant-Man where it's probably going to break even, and then you have Shang-Chi break even, and then you have a bunch of other movies that just break even, then you have a series of movies that are losing money. And yeah, Disney can weather that because they have so many other products and merchandising that's coming in, because Disney's been around for 60 plus years. But eventually I think you lose the goodwill, and then you start to, I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens with Disney. But what's happening is Hollywood ends up charging more for tickets and selling to fewer people, which is great because it means that Hollywood has less influence and opportunities to spread their toxic globalist propaganda. And so Zeeshan makes one point that I can knock down now, where something he's talking about military movies being military propaganda and jingoism. No, those days are long gone. All that ended in 2008 with Obama, and that is gone forever. That America is never coming back, because that America is gone forever. The military got woke. They have overwhelmingly negative appeal to them. There's way too many memes of military generals dressed up in a way that is not appeal to why young men would enlist in the military. And say that as carefully as possible. There's no saving the American military now. You'd have to, if you want to go fight foreign wars for Zelensky's and whatever, you'd have to have a draft, and even that, I don't know how well that would work. Nobody wants to fight for an America that hates the founding stock. What's the point? You're fighting for the banks and the NGOs that actually are running the country into the ground. If anything, people would fight against our present corrupt government. But anyway, the left has full control of Hollywood, and you're getting this cringy globalist propaganda. It doesn't sell, but it wins awards given to it by these same left-wing idiots. Which, keep in mind, people are watching less and less of these type of award shows. The movies getting awards suck, and the people involved with the awards suck. Social media was a worse thing for these people, because now you get the chance to see how deeply disturbed they actually are. And they are. I mean, they're deeply, deeply mentally ill in this echo chamber. Anyway, these are the people who cheered for Weinstein for like 30 years and simultaneously think that they have the moral high ground to lecture us on anything. It's really bizarre, the lack of self-awareness. They drive SUVs to their private jets to fly around the world to get awards for climate activism. Or every once in a while, some media will do a report on how much water they use for their lawns and gardens in their estates. And it's just, I mean, it's insane. Like you live in California, perpetually drought conditions because of the overpopulation. And they've got these huge lawns that require water, and it's like there's no need to water lawns. It's just grass. Like, you can do without it, but they insist on watering it every year. Anyway, I'm trying to say they're just like and then they get mad when the media focuses, and when they do a little bit of due diligence and focuses a spotlight on them, they lose their minds. They'll tell us that we need to live in these prison camps known as 15-minute cities, or as Trump calls them, freedom cities, aka gulags. I mean, that's why the anger these people have over Trump or Biden or Hillary or whoever's coming up on the horizon, or was in the past. Like, that's why they call it the uniparty. It's like they're saying almost the same thing. It's just the left wing and right wing, but it's the same freaking bird, and it's flying the same direction. 15-minute cities for the left, or freedom cities is what they're calling them for the right. It's like, oh, well, Trump says it must be good. Like, no. You got to support the principle, the idea, not the person. Like, once the person goes off the script, you abandon the person because you're sticking to the principles. Like, no, we got to support Trump. Like, no, we really don't. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.